a mid-November blanket of snow overnight, making for a slick morning commute. We're in the clear now, but more snow is on the way. When we'll get hit next. Former Vice President Mike Pence on considering a 2024 presidential run and more. His book, So Help Me God, is out today, and the former VP is joining us live for a one-on-one interview. And will parents' voices matter? Fallout from a contentious Denver school board meeting ahead of possible school closures. Thanks so much for joining us here on Denver 7 News at 11. I'm Jason Grenauer. It has been a busy and hectic morning out on the roads here in Denver as that cold air and snow are blanketing the landscape and the roadways throughout the metro. Here's what it looks like now at Civic Center Park, where that snow came down early this morning. Cold temps keeping that fresh layer of snow there on the ground. Denver 7 meteorologist Lisa Hidalgo tracking the snow. And Lisa, we're getting a little bit of a break now, but then it's going to get even colder and more snow is on the way.
Yeah, you got it. Later this week, we're tracking more of it. Right now, though, beautiful shot here from Rocky Mountain National Park. It was a nice blanket of snow, which made for a tough commute this morning, but things are already starting to warm up and dry out. Right now, upper 20s to low 30s. It is going to be a chilly day. We'll see maybe another 7 to 10 degrees on top of this. Highs are going to be in the mid to upper 30s for us today. Well below normal. We're typically low 50s this time of year. Today getting into, it looks like the mid to upper 30s between about 2 and 4 o'clock. But again, expect a nicer commute tonight as things start to dry out. Tomorrow is going to be warmer. We'll take a closer look at that, plus that snow on Thursday and the frigid air here on Friday. All those details, Jason, on our Super 7 Day coming up.
All right, Lisa, thank you. And it's good news for drivers that the snow has now moved out of the metro, at least for now. It was a messy commute this morning. Took me about twice as long as usual. Those slick roadways, icy patches, pretty much all over. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta was out there all morning long and shows us a lot of drivers were caught unprepared.
The good news is things look a lot different now than they did maybe 3 or 4 hours ago when we were seeing not only snow still coming down, but a lot cloudier and conditions on the actual roadway. Those were what were really bad. You can see over to my right, the actual street here. No more snow on the actual street accumulating, mainly just a tiny bit of slush. That was what was giving drivers, that snowpack, a lot of trouble really early this morning. On the actual highway, also to my right, that on-ramp looking a lot better than they did, again, really early this morning. Those were really slick, really slippery, a little bit of ice on those as well. We didn't see too many plows out, but the ones we did see out were definitely trying to make the best of what they had in front of them, trying to move that snow out of the way. And of course, drivers, they seemed a little stunned. Most of them were keeping on par with staying slow and being as careful as possible. We spoke to one driver who actually made the commute from Colorado Springs all the way to Denver this morning. Listen to what he had to say about that drive.
A lot of slow traffic. Everyone was being really cautious, but nothing crazy. There was a couple accidents, maybe 2 or 3 on the way up, just some fender benders, nothing crazy.
And I know we say this all the time, but slow was the way to go this morning, and that is pretty much what most drivers did. Again, those on and off ramps and bridges, those were the really tricky parts, but now everything seems to be much better. Snow starting to melt even on the vegetation here. So just something to keep in mind as the day goes on. I'm Veronica Acosta reporting.
To national news, former President Donald Trump is expected to announce a 2024 presidential run tonight. The announcement coming from Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Now, the election still over 700 days away, and the former president would be the first to officially announce that he is running. So let's break it down. This would be Trump's third bid for the White House. He lost in 2020 and still has yet to concede, continuing to spread false claims that the election was stolen without providing any evidence. The former president then backed multiple candidates in the midterm elections, many of them election deniers. The majority of those candidates lost in the midterms. Now, Trump is also under investigation on multiple fronts. The January 6th committee investigating the rally turned riot at the U.S. Capitol. The Department of Justice looking into the handling of top secret documents taken from the White House, and his company, the Trump Organization, on trial in New York for tax evasion and fraud. We are already hearing from several prominent Republicans saying this may not be the right time or the right direction for the party.
One of the messages from the election is, for Republicans generally, is we need as a party to move past President Trump and to move on to an agenda that represents the voices of all those in the party and the people of the country.
Anybody can run. I think, the world has changed considerably just in recent weeks. And I don't expect that he'll be the only one who will run for president in 2024. And I'll support the Republican nominee, but I don't know that it will be him.
The former president's announcement is expected later on tonight. Well, here in our state, the outcome of our state's 3rd congressional district could be the deciding factor for who controls the House of Representatives. Republicans only need one more seat to get the majority. Right now, Representative Lauren Boebert leads Democratic challenger Adam Frisch by about 1,100 votes. That lead is less than 0.5%, which is within the margin to trigger an automatic recount. Now, tomorrow is the deadline for all military and overseas ballots to arrive and for correcting any ballots that have any mistakes on them. Now, once the ballots have been tabulated, an audit will begin over the weekend to make sure the results match those paper ballots. Now, it's been a week since Election Day, but today is an important deadline.
We do have an 8-day post-election window for military and overseas ballots, or anyone who forgot to sign their ballot envelope or we can't make out their signature. They have that 8-day post-election window to fix that.
Now, here are some more important election dates. December 5th, the deadline for the Secretary of State to certify the election and order any mandatory recounts. December 6th is the deadline for candidates and political organizations to request those recounts. Okay, so off the top, we mentioned that former President Trump is expected to make that announcement. He's running in 2024. Well, former Vice President Mike Pence is also considering a 2024 presidential run. He sat down with ABC's David Muir last night, and his memoir, So Help Me God, hits bookshelves today. The former Vice President joins us live here on Denver 7. Mr. Vice President, thanks so much for your time. We will get to that book in a moment, but first, former President Trump expected to announce later today he's running in 2024. Simply, do you think Donald Trump is fit to run for president?
Well, it's a free country, Jason, and the president can make whatever announcement that he wants to make. But as I've traveled across this country, I think the American people long for leadership that does bring us back to the policies of the Trump-Pence administration, policies that made our country more prosperous than any time in my lifetime, strengthened our military, secured our borders, saw conservatives appointed to our courts, and stood tall in the world, making history in the Middle East and standing up to the enemies of freedom. But I must tell you that I've also heard over the last nearly 2 years, so many Americans come up, express their appreciation for our leadership, our record, but also their desire to see us produce leadership in our party that will unite our country around our highest ideals and reflect the kind of civility and decency that the American people treat each other with every day.
Now, you said in your interview with ABC's David Muir, you believe the American people will have, quote, better options come 2024. Are you running in 2024?
Well, Jason, I promise to keep you posted. You know, we've got two of our immediate family that are in the U.S. military, and in between deployments, we haven't been together as a family for 3 years. So Karen and I are making plans to have all the kids and our granddaughter back in Indiana over the holidays. We'll spend time, as you read in So Help Me God, literally every step of the way of our career. Our children have been intimately involved in everything that we've done. We'll spend time to give prayerful consideration to that, and then Karen and I will make a decision sometime after the first of the year. But we've made it clear we won't let anybody else make that decision for us. If we feel called to step back into the political debate, we'll do it without hesitation because we love this country, and I believe the best days of America lie ahead.
Now, your book is out today. It can't be lost on you the timing of this Mar-a-Lago Trump announcement on the exact same day.
Well, I've been working on this book for 2 years, and I couldn't be more grateful to have the opportunity to bring it to the American people. So Help Me God is really, as much about my family, as much about my upbringing in Indiana, my service in Congress and my service as governor, as it is about the Trump-Pence years, including the challenging days at the end. I hope people will have a better sense of who we are, how I came to my faith in Christ, how I came to the conservative movement after starting in politics as a young Democrat in my hometown, how I met the girl of my dreams, and how we were able to serve this country in so many different capacities. It really is it's not so much a unique story, but it is uniquely American. You know, as the grandson of an Irish immigrant, to have been able to stand on that platform in January 2017, raise my right hand to become the 48th Vice President of the United States, should tell you everything you need to know about America. And so help me God, I really try and capture the wonder of that journey, even through the challenging days. I'm inspired to be an American, Jason.
And one of those most challenging days that you write about in that book is January 6th. You've come out and said since the president's tweeting that day was reckless, it put you and your family in danger. Whether it's in this interview or others, why have you not come out in stronger terms against the person that did that to you and your family?
Well, I think I was quite clear, Jason. When the tweet came across saying that I lacked courage while rioters were ransacking the Capitol, was reckless. It endangered my family and the people that were at the Capitol at the time. But to be honest with you, in that moment, Jason, I really didn't have any time for it. The president had decided to be a part of the problem. I was determined to be a part of the solution. And working with Democrats and Republicans in leadership in the Congress, working with law enforcement on the ground, we went to work. And it's remarkable to me that in a matter of a few short hours, law enforcement, Capitol and federal law enforcement, quelled the violence. We were able to reconvene the Congress the very same day. And what began as a day of tragedy ended as a triumph of freedom as we saw to the peaceful transfer of power.
Then do you believe the person behind those tweets, the person that, in your own words, became part of the problem, is he, on the day that he's expected to make this big announcement, is he really just in the best interest of the Republican Party or the American people?
Well, Jason, I think that'll be up to the American people, and particularly to Republican primary voters, to determine what role, if any, the president has in the future of our party and our nation. And I trust Republican primary voters. Look, as I said, I don't think anybody other than Donald Trump could have defeated Hillary Clinton in 2016, but I do believe we'll have better choices in the days ahead, people that are better fitted to the times, able to advance the policies that we proved make America stronger and more prosperous, but to do it in a way that reflects the goodness and civility and neighborliness that Americans show to one another every day.
The midterm elections did not see the red wave that was predicted. A majority of the Trump-endorsed candidates lost. A Republican, Lauren Boebert, here in Colorado, holding just a razor-thin margin in a district that is largely conservative. Do you think it's time for the Republican Party to move on from the policies and the rhetoric of Donald J. Trump?
You know, elections are always about the future. And I believe, as disappointing as these elections were in many places, that our candidates that focused on the future did quite well. That's why we won a Republican majority in the House of Representatives, and there'll be a new Republican Speaker of the House come January. And I think as we go forward, it'll be important that we get behind candidates that are not interested in relitigating the past, but are focused on the challenges that are facing people in Colorado today and Indiana today, and are really focused on a future built on freedom. And I look forward to being part of that debate in some way, shape, or form. And I promise to keep you posted on our plans, Jason.
All right, former Vice President Mike Pence, keep us posted. Thanks so much for the time. The book, So Help Me God, is available for purchase right now. Still ahead on Denver 7 News at 11, the holidays right around the corner. After the break, we're joined by one local organization harvesting hope and ensuring Front Range families have a meal this Thanksgiving.